It's time, Cougar Nation. Cougar Tracks. The best season analysis with BYU insider Mitch Harper on KSL NewsRadio and on video every day on the YouTube page for KSL Sports.
Welcome into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube and KSL NewsRadio. I am your BYU insider, Mitch Harper. It's a football Friday here on Cougar Tracks as BYU gets ready to take on East Carolina tomorrow in Greenville. And let's break down the matchup in depth with our top story of the day here on Cougar Tracks.
The top story of the day. The biggest story in the world of BYU sports right here on Cougar Tracks.
I'm excited for this game. BYU versus East Carolina. BYU is 2-0. East Carolina is 2-1. I think there's a little bit of nervousness from Cougar fans heading into this game. I just get that sense from Cougar Nation going into this one, and that's fine. I'd like to think, though, if you believe BYU's an AP top 25 team, you shouldn't be completely nervous. BYU is the favorite in this game. East Carolina's trending up, of course, but understand that the team they beat last week, Coastal Carolina, 38-0, Coastal Carolina is terrible. Coastal Carolina can't score a lick. They scored 13 points against Charleston Southern. Still, East Carolina's trending up. There's a lot of momentum for this team, so I can understand why there's a little bit of nervousness. And, hey, let's call it what it is. BYU, we're still learning about this offense under true freshman Bear Bachmeier being the signal caller for the Cougars. ECU Athletic Director John Gilbert said that they're expecting around 46,000 fans to be in attendance tomorrow for the 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time kick, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. They're hoping to get more than 46,000, but there's some noteworthy additions, pregame festivities at this East Carolina BYU game. There's going to be two F-15s flying over the stadium. I saw on the Wise Guys that some of those guys that are flying over the plane, or the flyovers, are BYU connections, so that's pretty cool. There's also going to be fireworks as East Carolina runs out onto the field, and that's noteworthy apparently because it'll be the first time ever that Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium has done that, and there will be fireworks going off if ECU scores touchdowns. So BYU's defense has extra motivation to keep the Pirates out of the end zone to avoid any fireworks going off. And these two offenses right now are putting up some numbers. BYU comes into the game averaging 48 points per game. East Carolina averaging 37. Both defenses excellent. East Carolina only giving up 9 points per game. BYU 1.5 points. Only 3 points allowed. They haven't allowed anyone to reach the end zone yet this season. To me, the important keys in this game for BYU, I think you got to have success on that first offensive series for BYU. You know, East Carolina's athletic director is giving out a message saying how big the crowd is going to be. They don't typically see that high of a number at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. So it's going to be an energetic, hyped-up crowd hosting a Power 4 team. I think just settling the nerves a little bit. And it maybe doesn't have to be scoring a touchdown on that first offensive series, but I think moving the chains, getting that crowd a little bit quieter than what they're going to be out of the chutes in that first play. If you can get a couple first downs, maybe get into East Carolina territory in that first series, I think that would be huge for BYU and for Bear Bachmeier to just kind of set the tone of, oh man, they're going to be on their heels. Because if you go 3-and-out in that first offensive series, that crowd's going to be hyped up and even more loud than what they will be right out of the gates at kickoff. I think you got to also win the turnover margin by 2. And that's of note because East Carolina's number 1 in turnover margin this season. They're +5 currently in turnover margin. They've been excellent at taking care of the football. Caton Hauser, their quarterback, he's only thrown 1 interception this season. That was last week against Coastal Carolina. So you've got to win that turnover margin. And 2 weeks ago, BYU did a really good job of getting takeaways against Stanford. Oddly enough, they didn't get any interceptions on Portland State. Granted, Portland State couldn't really throw the football at all. But I think you got to win that turnover margin by 2. And so that requires BYU to take care of the football offensively. They've done a nice job of that. Special teams as well. A lot of focus on that punt return situation between Parker Kingston and Tiger Bachmeier. Kelly Papinga said on the Coordinator's Corner last week that's probably going to be Tiger Bachmeier's job going forward. Take care of the football, BYU. And if you win this turnover margin, I think you're going to be in a good spot. You've also got to avoid explosive plays through the air for TCU's offense. BYU's pass defense, 99 yards per game allowed, but really no threat through the air, either Portland State or Stanford. This is your first true test, BYU secondary, and I like the safeties. BYU's safety spot is in a great position with Raider Damuni, Tanner Wall, Falatau Satuwala as your top three at the safety position. Cornerback's going to be a little bit tested, though, and they've got to be ready for the task. And I'm confident in the athleticism and the talent of these guys with Evan Johnson, Trey Alexander, and Maury Bamba, but you got to deliver. You got to perform because East Carolina has talented receivers with Anthony Smith, Yannick Smith, excellent players. And those are probably the two top guys for East Carolina's passing attack. Anthony Smith had double-digit targets last week and double-digit catches. He is a highly productive player at the wide receiver position. So avoiding those chunk yardage, it's kind of like in the video game EA Sports College Football. Make that team work. Go 14 plays because most likely if you have to have a 10, 11, 12 play drive, you're going to probably make some mistakes at some point. But if you go 75 yards in 3 plays, that means explosive playmaking ability. You got to avoid that, particularly in BYU secondary. I think you got to keep ECU definitely under 30 points in this game, and I think BYU will because BYU's defense is really good. And I just bring that up because in the Blake Harrell era, which has been brief, but still you're getting a little bit of a sample size. They're 7-2 overall, 6-0 when they score 30 points or more in the Harrell era. Smart decisions, too, I think BYU needs on timeouts and administrative decisions. It's been a long time since BYU played a game on the road. It's September 19th today, September 20th, the game tomorrow. First road game of the season this late in the year. BYU's not used to having road games this late in the season. They did it a couple years ago against Arkansas in week 3, but this is week 4 of the season, and you're going with your first road game. It's been a while since BYU went on a road trip, and it's going to be loud, and the crowd's not going to be in your favor. So the coaching staff, that retention, that coaching staff having so much alignment, as I've talked about on the show, just make calm decisions, use timeouts appropriately, be smart with those decisions. Don't make any head-scratching decisions on that front. I think you'll be in a good spot in this game. I think also, too, BYU has to get off the field on third down defensively. I'm optimistic that they will, but East Carolina's been really good on that spot. 58% conversion rate are the Pirates, that offense on third down, about 57.1%. They've been really good. And an area of this game that I find kind of interesting that no one's really talked about, the special teams. Very confident in BYU's kicker, Will Farron. Highly confident. He's going to be excellent if called upon. East Carolina's kicking situation, we shall see. Nick Mazzy, a transfer from New Hampshire, is their kicker. They still have Andrew Conrad, who hit the game winner 3 years ago in Provo. But Mazzy, he was 1 of 2 last week, had one of his field goal attempts blocked. He's 2 of 4 for the season. He was 1 of 2 against NC State. But if they have to turn to him, is he reliable? I think that's something to monitor in this spot for BYU and East Carolina, because BYU can turn to Will Farron. If it's 50 and up, they've got the luxury of going to a big leg. And Farron, does East Carolina have that luxury? We shall see. East Carolina's only allowed 1 sack this season, so for a BYU defense that has had some sacks, but just not from the defensive ends, this probably isn't the game to get those sack numbers because East Carolina gets that ball off quick. They are high tempo, and that's what they do. Screen passes, play action. They let it rip quick, but be assignment sound and don't miss your tackles either. Do not let them get yards after the catch. Make the contact when they catch that football. And again, make them have long, sustained drives. It's going to be a good football game. 6:30 or 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, BYU and East Carolina at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. We will have extended pregame coverage beginning at noon tomorrow in Greenville. Myself and Kyle Ireland. It's going to be a lot of fun. And coming up later tonight, BYU Athletics is going to have a fireside. Not the football team. It's not like the firesides of old back in the Bronco Mendenhall era, but the athletic department, some alumni, they're going to have a fireside, 6:30 p.m. Eastern in Raleigh, 5060 Six Forks Road. That's, again, 5060 Six Forks Road. If you're making the trip out to Greenville, you can go check out that BYU Athletics fireside that's taking place in Raleigh. So not quite the football team fireside because those were polarizing. Day before BYU versus Michigan, 10 a.m. game, having a late night fireside. What's going on? No, it's athletics and alumni. So if you want to be part of that, you can at 5060 Six Forks Road. Let's take a break. We'll get to the score prediction coming up a little bit later here on Cougar Tracks on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports YouTube page. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on KSL Sports YouTube. Every single day, we're holding it down on Cougar Tracks, giving you daily BYU sports content, BYU football, BYU men's basketball. Coming up on Monday, BYU men's basketball gets the official practices started for the year. Can you believe it? BYU's less than a month away until their first exhibition game of the season against Nebraska in Lincoln. That'll take place October 18th at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. But BYU gets the official practices started on Monday. They wrapped up summer conditioning just recently, and so it'll be more an extension of what they've already been doing. But the official practices, the day in, day out grind of the season is upon us. And I had the chance to catch up with BYU basketball star guard Rob Wright. Here's my conversation with the newcomer to BYU's backcourt, Rob Wright, here on Cougar Tracks. The most anticipated season of BYU men's basketball is just around the corner, and to talk some Cougar hoops, I'm joined now by BYU basketball guard Rob Wright. And Rob, appreciate you carving out some time to hop on with me here. And how's life in Provo so far? It's been a handful of months now. How are you enjoying it?
I've been enjoying it well, gotten to know my teammates, just gotten to build bonds with the coaches and just with the staff, and even just going to class and just experience everything. It's been nice.
So your hometown is, I see, Wilmington, Delaware. Are there any similarities at all between Wilmington and Provo, or is it just two completely different lifestyles?
I think it's two completely different lifestyles. Wilmington is a city; it's loud. Provo is really nice and laid back and cool. So it's a little different.
So far, though, has the experience at BYU been everything that you'd hope for when you transfer from Baylor to BYU?
Yes, it's been everything. I mean, everyone's been welcoming. The people, the fans, my teammates, the coaches, just the whole organization has just been very welcoming. So it's been easy.
You've already kind of cleared the air on some of the stuff with the transfer, but I got to ask you, was it difficult at all to pick a team like BYU that was in the same conference as your old stop at Baylor?
No, I wouldn't say it was, because I was just looking for the right fit for me. So I was just trying to find a place where I could thrive on and off the court with academics and just with school, and then just trying to get to where I want to go in life in the next level.
Talk with Rob Wright here on KSL Sports. BYU basketball season just around the corner, and you talk about the next level in the NBA, and a handful of your high school teammates at Montverde, 4 of them in that starting lineup are all first-round draft picks. How much of a role did this decision to come to BYU play in you arriving here and as far as the NBA path is concerned?
It played a big part just because, we have an NBA coach in Kevin Young. So just having someone who's been around the league and just has connections and things like that. And then just being able to play in the Big 12, which is tough, and just play a good schedule and just be in a place where I can be in a place to win and just show my true talents.
A lot of people know about Kevin Young's background with his NBA connections. Has there been anything that, as you get to know Coach Young more throughout this season that kind of surprised you, or something new that you learned that maybe you didn't know before you committed to BYU about Coach Young?
Really just how good of a basketball mind he has, I would say. Just because he's been and coached guys like Chris Paul, who's someone I look up to. I went to his camp both in high school and then college this year I went. So just him being around great basketball minds like that and just giving me little gems, I mean, it's all been good.
I was going to ask you about that experience with Chris Paul's camp and with Chris Paul being so close to Kevin Young. Did CP3 tell you anything about Coach Young, or any pointers that you'd be willing to share?
Well, so I knew CP3 because I went to the camp in high school. Yep. So when I got down there, I mean, he knows me and Coach Young, so we all talked. And he was just telling me that KY is a great guy and just that he's going to trust me and just instill the same confidence that he instilled in him when he was coaching him.
It's been fun this summer to see all the clips from practices and some of the footage. It just seems like the practices are highly competitive, intense. How would you describe the day in, day out of summer practices in preparation for this season?
I think it's really intense. I mean, there's a lot of expectations, but we're just trying to block out the noise and just come in the gym and put the work in every day. Just keep stacking days. That's our motto.
What is the potential of this team, you think?
I think the potential is just to reach the Final Four, the national championship, and win the Big 12. I mean, our potential could be crazy. I think it's undeniable what we could do.
I think you and AJ DeBonsa had what was it? Like a summer event at, what was it, in New York, I believe, when you were in high school. What's the relationship like with you and AJ? How is it coming together and the chemistry between you guys?
So we've known each other since he was like 14. I was probably like 15, 16. So, I mean, we've known each other for so long. Then like USA camp, and then we played on the same team at Slam. And then just competing in high school, we always competed against each other. Like my senior year, we played against them twice. They were like number 2 team. We were number 1. So just having a guy like that I'm comfortable with, and then just welcoming me also, and coming to a new situation, new place, it's just been good to have somebody like that.
What was your first memory when you were 14 of meeting AJ and him meeting you?
So actually, he was playing against my little brother, who played like in the May hoop circuit. They were both in like 8th grade, I believe, and like he dunked on somebody on my brother's team. So that was my first impression.
Talk with Rob Wright here on KSL Sports. I'm also curious, how's it been playing alongside Richie Saunders, and first team All Big 12 performer? And you went up against him last year. What's it like now being a teammate with Richie?
When I first got here, I couldn't believe how hard of a worker he was. I mean, he's a great person. I mean, since I've been here, he's always been trying to help me just make sure I'm comfortable, just give little tips on like what he sees. Cause he was a first rounder. Well, first team last year. So he's just trying to help, and just as an older guy, just trying to make sure that I feel comfortable, because transferring for everyone isn't always easy. So he's just been a great role model since I've been here, and just been helping me.
Richie has a ability where he can be a knockdown 3-point shooter. He can also attack the rim, get downhill. You're also elite in the paint and finishing. Where did you develop that skill? Because not every point guard can make that happen in traffic and finish the way that you can. Was that like a toughness, just the way that you play growing up, or how did you develop those skills?
So it's funny because I think I just always kind of had that, even at a young age. Like my dad would always say that, like I've always been good at finishing through contact and just getting in the paint and creating those little opportunities, even though I haven't always been the tallest player. So I think it's just been my whole life, just always being smaller than everyone, and I had to find different ways to score and use my quickness and things like that.
When you talk about guards that are maybe smaller, one of the coaches on the staff, John Linehan, he was a Northeast guy, smaller guy. What's your relationship like with Coach Linehan, and what pointers does he give about, ways to finish at the rim and things like that?
He gives a lot of pointers. I mean, he's talking to me all the time. We're watching film together. So he's just trying to help me be the best version of myself. He was a great defensive player, and that's one of the biggest things that I'm trying to improve on. So just hearing from him and just trying to keep learning, and just him welcoming me here, and then just keep teaching me things I don't know, because he played at the pro level for, I believe, 12 years. So just learning from a pro, that's great.
This program at BYU, it's, Kevin Young said it's not hypothetical, the pro connections. Has it been even more than you realized when you committed, the connections at the NBA and really throughout basketball with this staff and program?
Yeah, since I've been here, I mean, it's a lot of pros that come through here. I mean, it's just even guys that come back that used to play here, they just come back and work out and things. So just seeing the environment that they're building, and then just having a coach like KY, I think that's all you need right there.
How's this team coming together away from the court, Rob? And it's been fun to see from afar. I think there was a video you shared, some live streaming at Lagoon. Like, how are you guys coming together as a group to bond off the court too?
I mean, we do team events all the time. Sometimes the coach set it up, but even we have ourselves just spent time with each other. We're just always around each other because, I mean, we're here at school together, and we're going to be the ones on the court at the end of the day. So the better bond we have, I think that's going to give us the best chance of reaching our potential, I would say.
Speaking of your Twitch stream, I think all of us hoop heads and junkies just love the 1v1s, the video that you guys put out over the summer. What inspired the Twitch? Where can people follow you on the Twitch? Are you going to have some more content throughout the season?
I believe I will. I don't really know how much I will because of the season. So, in the summer it's a little different. I don't have to worry about school so much, even though I took some classes, but it's a big difference when you got practice and school. It's just a big difference. So I guess we'll have to see.
Well, I know my kids, they're always W chat when you're going live on Twitch. Last couple things here for you, Rob. Again, just how excited are you now? Just kind of, we're getting closer now to the season, exhibition games, and then the regular season. Just maybe the readiness of this group coming out of the summer and for the season ahead and trying to deliver on those high expectations as you talked about earlier.
I mean, I'm super excited. I mean, we're all excited, I believe. We're here competing every day, just trying to win, just competing, whether it's closeouts, defense, whether we're scrimmaging each other. We're just always competing. Everybody on the team is just being competitive. So I think having a competitive environment is just going to help us later in the season.
Any games on that non-conference schedule that really get you fired up, excited? I mean, there's some big ones. Is there any in particular that stand out to you?
I wouldn't say there's really one, but I'm going to just take all of them. They're all going to be big games, so I don't really have one. But we did last year lose to Baylor last year, so I guess I would want to – we lost to UConn last year with Baylor, so I guess I would want to beat UConn this time.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. November 15th in Boston at the TD Garden. Cannot wait for that one. And the season, of course, will tip off in Vegas and Nebraska, that exhibition that's just around the corner. We'll appreciate the time you spent here with me, Rob. And again, looking forward to seeing you in Cougar Blue, and best of luck this season.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
That's Rob Wright here on KSL Sports. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube and KSL News Radio. It's a football Friday. BYU and East Carolina kicks off tomorrow. So that means it's time to give my score prediction.
Score prediction. Will BYU come out on top? It's time for Mitch's score prediction for the next game.
Cannot wait for this one. BYU and East Carolina. It's time to end all the talking. It's time to play this football game, and I'm going to say BYU wins this game. BYU 24, East Carolina 13. I believe that BYU will have success on the ground. East Carolina's rush defense has been excellent this year, but I don't believe that they've faced a ground attack like LJ Martin and the one that BYU has and the offensive line that BYU has. So I believe that the Cougs will have success on the ground, and that sets the tone for this entire BYU offense, and they lean on that ground attack to shrink the game, and BYU gets a business-like 24-13 win. ECU, I believe, will get yards through the air, but BYU's defense, I feel that they will prevent East Carolina from getting into the end zone. Think about last week. East Carolina had tons of yards against Coastal Carolina, but they were only up at half 10-0. And maybe something could play out like that in the entire game, where maybe ECU gets a ton of yards, but some mistakes, some opportunities where BYU's defense capitalizes, gets the momentum back into the offense's favor. BYU's offense eats up some clock, runs the football with LJ Martin, is efficient in the passing attack, getting to Chase Roberts, Carson Ryan, get a little bit of Cody Hagan action. I think BYU gets a business-like win. It won't be anything glamorous. I'd be pretty surprised if BYU put up, 40-plus in this game. Maybe it's possible. I would be a little bit surprised by that, but I'd take a 24-13 win, and I think BYU will get that done and go out with a 3-0 record in non-conference play. Think about this. BYU is 8-0 in non-conference games since joining the Big 12 Conference. They haven't lost out of league yet. So they're looking to get another perfect non-conference slate this season in 2025 to try to go to that 9-0 mark all time as a Big 12 member in non-conference. I think the X factor for BYU is the special teams, as I noted earlier. I'm looking for LJ Martin, though, to have a huge game for BYU. I'm just so bullish on the talent of LJ Martin and what he can be for BYU. And I also do believe that BYU's offensive line with Waylon Lapuaho, who I spoke with earlier this week, I think that addition is significant. You see the play that Isaiah Jada has shown so far this season. I think he's done a really nice job. I think knee-jerk reaction in that Stanford game where they had 3 sacks allowed. You thought, oh, what was wrong with the offensive line? But you go back and watch the film, thought they were pretty assignment sound. BYU has got to be physical, set the tone in the trenches, set the edge, because East Carolina, they've got size. And as I laid out yesterday here on Cougar Tracks, but even you look at the offensive line, they go 300 with Darius Bell, 326 with Poku, 335, 315, McCrimmon, 315. I mean, they got size on their offensive line. So this will be a really good test for BYU. I don't think it's insurmountable. I don't think it's one where BYU would just be, thank their lucky stars that they get this win. BYU's the better football team. They've got more depth. They've got more talent. They've got more resources. That should account for something. I think this fear that Cougar fans have for these sort of spots, this is no longer 2017. This is not the same BYU program as back then, 8 years ago, when they were wandering the wilderness of independence. This is a much improved BYU program, much better resources, much better coaching staff across the board, and much better talent too. I think the big question mark, of course, is that quarterback spot, how Bear will perform. And I think Bear will do a nice job. He's got to continue doing what he's done. If you want to get nitpicky, there were moments where he maybe held on a little too long, but I think that Bear has done a really good job for BYU thus far. And I believe that he's going to be poised and collected and be very efficient. I do think there will probably be moments where he faces adversity, but I think he responds quickly. He's a great competitor. I think he's also got a personality where he'll just move on. He doesn't let a failed moment rattle him completely. I think he's got an ability to just kind of on to the next play, erase it, throw it out, move on. Go grab the tablet, analyze it, and move on to the next play. I think Bear will do a nice job. I don't look for video game-like numbers. I think all of Cougar Nation would love to see that heading into Big 12 play, to have a massive performance through the air. But is that needed? No. I think BYU wants to establish its physicality. Kalani Sitake talked about that this week. He's confident in how physical this football team is. He's not branding them as a physical team. He's not saying that's their identity, but it kind of is. It is their identity that they are going to be a physical football team. That physicality will show up. I'd be very surprised if BYU's physicality did not show itself in Greenville. I'd be really blown away by that. So I think BYU gets the win. I'm going to again say 24-13. Cougs get this victory and go to 3-0 on the season, and then it sets the tone for Big 12 play next week and an exciting run. And that's everything is in front of you. And I think if you get a win on the road, I'd like to think that's good enough to get you into the national rankings too. And it's in a time slot where they're not just going to completely ignore you. It should be a good enough victory to get you at least at number 25 or number 24 in those polls. That's not the most important aspect of this, but I do think it matters in terms of perception and how your team's viewed nationally on a given week. So I've got the Cougs getting it done. What about you? Do you think BYU gets it done? Share your score prediction in the comments here on YouTube or text the KSL News Radio text line 57500. Again, full coverage tomorrow, extended pregame from Greenville at noon. Myself and Kyle Ireland, we will have you covered throughout the day at Greenville, Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium, BYU versus East Carolina. Kickoff at 5:30 right here on KSL News Radio and ESPN2. I'm going to go catch my flight, head out to Raleigh, and go to Greenville. It's Cougar football this weekend, folks. Lock in. We're ready to roll. We'll be back on Saturday night with a Cougar Tracks post-game reaction, and then, of course, Monday with a regularly scheduled Cougar Tracks here on the program. So make sure to subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a ton, and I will talk to you next time here on Cougar Tracks, and it's powered by KSL Sports.